Welcome back to XRP Catalyst, the channel where we break down the biggest XRP developments, crypto regulations, and market-moving events in a simple and easy-to-understand way. If you're an XRP holder or someone following the future of digital assets, you're in the right place. Today we have a major update that could have a significant impact on XRP and the entire crypto industry. The Clarity Act is back in the spotlight. Lawmakers are pushing important discussions forward, and many investors are asking the same question. Could this finally provide the regulatory clarity that XRP holders have been waiting for? Stay with us until the end, because this update connects directly to the future of XRP institutional adoption and the broader crypto market. Just minutes ago, fresh discussions surrounding the Clarity Act once again captured the attention of the digital asset industry. For years, one of the biggest challenges facing cryptocurrency projects in the United States has been regulatory uncertainty. Companies, investors, and developers have repeatedly stated that innovation cannot reach its full potential without clear rules. Now, with renewed focus on legislation designed to establish a framework for digital assets, many believe the conversation is entering a critical stage. The Clarity Act is being discussed as a potential solution to one of the most important questions in crypto: how should digital assets be classified and regulated? This issue has affected numerous projects, but XRP has remained at the center of the conversation because of its long legal history and the ongoing debate about how regulators should treat cryptocurrencies. For XRP supporters, every development connected to regulatory clarity is closely watched, because clear rules could remove uncertainty that has surrounded the asset for years. What makes this latest update especially important is the growing recognition among lawmakers that blockchain technology and digital assets are no longer a niche industry. Financial institutions, payment providers, and technology companies continue exploring blockchain solutions, and governments around the world are working to establish regulations that encourage innovation while protecting consumers. The United States faces increasing pressure to create a competitive environment that allows digital asset businesses to operate with confidence. Many analysts believe that if comprehensive regulatory frameworks become law, companies would have greater confidence to invest in blockchain-based products and services. For XRP, this could be particularly significant because Ripple's vision has always focused on improving cross-border payments and financial infrastructure. A more predictable regulatory environment could encourage broader participation from institutions that have remained cautious while waiting for legal certainty. At the same time, investors should understand that legislative processes take time. While the recent discussions are generating excitement across the crypto community, there are still multiple steps before any proposed framework becomes fully implemented. However, the fact that lawmakers continue prioritizing digital asset legislation is being viewed as a positive signal by many market participants. The conversation is no longer about whether crypto needs regulation, but rather about what those regulations should look like and how they can support responsible growth. As the discussion around the Clarity Act continues to gain momentum, attention is now shifting toward what this legislation could actually mean for XRP and the broader crypto market if it moves forward. While many investors focus on daily price movements, the reality is that regulatory developments often have a much greater long-term impact than short-term market fluctuations. This is why the latest updates are being watched so closely by both retail investors and major financial institutions. One of the biggest concerns facing the crypto industry has always been uncertainty. Businesses can adapt to strict regulations, and they can adapt to flexible regulations. But what creates challenges is not knowing which rules apply. For years, many companies operating in the digital asset space have argued that innovation slows down when there is no clear framework. Investors become cautious, institutions delay participation, and startups struggle to plan for the future. The Clarity Act is being viewed by many as an attempt to address these issues by creating more defined guidelines for how digital assets should be treated. For XRP supporters, this discussion is particularly important because XRP has spent years at the center of regulatory debates. The asset became one of the most talked about cryptocurrencies in the world due to questions surrounding its classification and legal treatment. Because of this history, Any movement toward regulatory clarity naturally attracts attention from the XRP community. Many believe that if lawmakers establish clearer standards, it could reduce uncertainty that has influenced market sentiment for a long time. Another major factor is institutional adoption. Large financial organizations typically avoid entering markets where regulations remain unclear. These institutions manage billions of dollars and must comply with strict legal requirements. Before committing significant resources to digital assets, they want confidence that the regulatory environment is stable and predictable. This is why many analysts believe regulatory clarity could become a key driver of future growth within the crypto sector. When institutions evaluate blockchain technology, they are often less interested in speculation and more interested in practical utility. This is where Ripple's long-term vision becomes relevant. Ripple has consistently focused on payment efficiency, cross-border transactions, and reducing friction within global financial systems. If regulatory frameworks become more defined, institutions may feel more comfortable exploring blockchain-based payment solutions and digital asset integration. This possibility is one reason why XRP continues to attract attention during discussions about crypto regulation. At the same time, market participants should remain realistic. Legislation alone does not guarantee immediate adoption or price appreciation. Markets respond to many factors, including economic conditions, investor sentiment, technological progress, and global financial trends. However, clear regulations can create an environment where innovation becomes easier and investment decisions become less risky. That's why many industry observers consider regulatory clarity a foundation for sustainable growth, rather than a short-term catalyst. Another interesting development is the growing bipartisan interest in digital asset regulation. In recent years, lawmakers from different political perspectives have increasingly recognized the importance of blockchain technology. While disagreements remain regarding specific details, there appears to be broader acknowledgement that the industry requires modern rules rather than relying on frameworks designed decades before cryptocurrencies existed. This shift in attitude is viewed by many as an encouraging sign for the future. Moving deeper into this developing story, one of the most important questions being asked across the crypto industry is whether the Clarity Act could help the United States strengthen its position in the global digital asset race. This is a critical issue because blockchain innovation is no longer limited to a single country. Around the world, governments are actively creating regulations, launching pilot programs, and building frameworks designed to attract blockchain companies and investment capital. The competition for leadership in this sector is becoming increasingly intense. Many industry experts argue that regulatory clarity is no longer simply a legal issue. It has become an economic issue. Companies deciding where to build, expand, and invest often compare regulatory environments across different countries. When rules are clear, businesses can plan for the future with greater confidence. When rules remain uncertain, companies may choose to relocate resources to jurisdictions that provide more predictable guidance. This is one reason why lawmakers have become increasingly focused on establishing a modern framework for digital assets. Supporters of the Clarity Act believe that clear regulations could encourage innovation while also improving consumer protection. Rather than forcing companies to operate in uncertain conditions, a defined framework could provide guidance regarding compliance, reporting requirements, and operational standards. For investors, this could increase confidence in the market because participants would have a better understanding of how digital assets are regulated. For XRP, this conversation is especially important because the asset has often been viewed as a bridge between traditional finance and blockchain technology. Ripple has spent years building relationships with financial institutions and promoting solutions designed to improve cross-border payments. Unlike many crypto projects that focus primarily on decentralized applications or speculative use cases, Ripple has consistently emphasized real-world utility within the global financial system. Because of this positioning, regulatory developments often have a direct impact on how investors evaluate XRP's future potential. Another factor attracting attention is the possibility that clearer regulations could encourage greater participation from banks and payment providers. Financial institutions typically move carefully when adopting new technologies. Before integrating blockchain-based systems into their operations, they need confidence that regulatory expectations are clearly defined. If lawmakers create a framework that addresses these concerns, some analysts believe institutions may become more willing to explore digital asset solutions on a larger scale. The broader crypto market could also benefit from increased certainty. Investors often react positively when uncertainty is reduced because it allows for more informed decision-making. Markets generally prefer clarity over confusion, even when regulations introduce new requirements. This is why many analysts describe regulatory certainty as an important step toward industry maturity. A mature market tends to attract larger investors, stronger infrastructure, and greater long-term stability. At the same time, it is important to recognize that regulatory clarity alone will not determine the future of any cryptocurrency. Technology, adoption, competition, and market demand will continue to play major roles. XRP's success will still depend on how effectively its ecosystem grows and how widely its solutions are adopted. However, supporters argue that a clearer legal environment could remove barriers that have limited growth opportunities in the past. The significance of the Clarity Act extends beyond any single company or cryptocurrency. The legislation represents part of a larger effort to define how digital assets fit into the modern financial landscape. The decisions being discussed today could influence investment trends, innovation strategies, and regulatory approaches for years to come. As the Clarity Act continues to generate discussion across the crypto industry, market participants are carefully analyzing what these developments could mean in practical terms. While lawmakers debate the details of future regulations, investors, institutions, and blockchain companies are already trying to position themselves for potential changes. The reaction across the market highlights just how important regulatory clarity has become for the future of digital assets. One of the most noticeable trends is the growing interest from institutional investors. Unlike retail traders who often focus on short-term price action, institutions tend to evaluate long-term opportunities. Their decisions are usually based on risk management, regulatory compliance, and strategic planning. Because of this, many institutions have remained cautious when it comes to certain areas of the crypto market. They want confidence that the legal framework surrounding digital assets is stable before making significant commitments. This is where the Clarity Act enters the conversation. Supporters believe that a more defined regulatory structure could reduce uncertainty and make it easier for institutions to participate in blockchain-related initiatives. While there is no guarantee that every institution will immediately enter the market, clearer rules could remove one of the biggest obstacles that has slowed adoption in recent years. This possibility has become a major point of discussion among analysts and investors. Within the XRP community, the latest developments have created renewed optimism. XRP holders have spent years following legal and regulatory news, because these issues have played such a significant role in the asset's journey. As a result, many community members view every step toward regulatory clarity as an important milestone. Social media discussions, industry forums, and market commentary have all reflected growing interest in how future legislation could impact XRP's position within the digital asset ecosystem. At the same time, experienced investors are emphasizing the importance of maintaining realistic expectations. Regulatory progress often happens gradually, rather than overnight. Bills must move through multiple stages, lawmakers must debate specific provisions, and final implementation can take time. Because of this, market participants understand that patience remains essential. Significant developments may occur over months or even years rather than days or weeks. Another important signal being monitored is the response from blockchain companies themselves. Many firms operating in the digital asset space have consistently advocated for clear regulations. Their argument is straightforward. Businesses can innovate more effectively when they understand the rules they must follow. If legislation provides greater certainty, companies may feel more comfortable investing in new products, expanding operations, and pursuing partnerships that were previously viewed as too risky. For XRP specifically, many observers continue watching Ripple's progress within the global payments industry. The company has spent years building infrastructure designed to support faster and more efficient international transactions. If regulatory conditions become more favorable, some analysts believe Ripple could find additional opportunities to expand partnerships and demonstrate the practical benefits of blockchain technology in real-world financial systems. Meanwhile, the broader market is also paying attention to how other countries respond to digital asset innovation. Global competition remains intense, and many governments recognize the economic potential of blockchain technology. The United States faces increasing pressure to establish a framework that encourages innovation while maintaining appropriate oversight. This balance will be critical as lawmakers continue refining their approach. As we bring this discussion to a close, it becomes clear why the latest Clarity Act developments have captured so much attention across the cryptocurrency industry. This conversation is about far more than a single piece of legislation. It represents a larger effort to define how digital assets will operate within the financial system of the future. For years, uncertainty has been one of the biggest challenges facing blockchain innovation, and many investors believe the industry is now moving closer to a period where clearer rules and stronger frameworks may finally begin to emerge. For XRP holders, these developments carry special significance. XRP has spent years at the center of regulatory discussions, making every step toward legal clarity particularly important. Throughout this period, supporters have consistently argued that XRP's long-term value should be evaluated based on its utility, its technology, and its ability to solve real-world financial problems. The possibility of a clearer regulatory environment has therefore become one of the most closely watched factors influencing future expectations. What makes the current situation especially interesting is that the conversation surrounding digital assets has evolved dramatically. A few years ago, many policymakers were still trying to understand the basics of blockchain technology. Today, discussions are increasingly focused on implementation, oversight, market structure, and innovation. This shift demonstrates how far the industry has progressed. Digital assets are no longer being treated as a temporary trend. Instead, they are becoming part of a broader conversation about the future of finance, payments, and global economic infrastructure. At the same time, investors should remember that legislation is only one piece of the puzzle. The future of XRP will also depend on adoption, technological development, business partnerships, market demand, and broader economic conditions. Regulatory clarity can create opportunities, but it does not automatically guarantee success. Sustainable growth requires continuous innovation and real-world utility. This is why many analysts encourage investors to focus on long-term fundamentals rather than reacting solely to short-term headlines. Looking ahead, the coming months could prove extremely important. Lawmakers will continue debating digital asset policies, industry leaders will keep advocating for clearer rules, and financial institutions will closely monitor every major development. Each new update has the potential to influence market sentiment and shape expectations for the future. Whether someone is an XRP holder, a crypto enthusiast, or simply an observer of financial technology, these discussions are becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Many supporters believe that if a comprehensive framework eventually emerges, it could create a stronger foundation for innovation, investment, and adoption across the entire blockchain sector. Others remain cautious and prefer to wait for concrete legislative outcomes before making bold predictions. Regardless of which perspective proves correct, one thing is certain: regulatory clarity remains one of the most important themes shaping the future of digital assets today. And we'll continue tracking every major XRP development, every regulatory update, and every market-moving event right here on XRP Catalyst. If you found this video valuable, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest XRP coverage. Also, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe the Clarity Act could become a turning point for XRP in the crypto industry? Or do you think more challenges still lie ahead? We'd love to hear your perspective. This video is for educational and informational purposes only, and should not be considered financial advice. The information shared in this video reflects opinions and publicly available information at the time of recording. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Cryptocurrency investments involve risk, and past performance does not guarantee future results. Consult a qualified financial advisor before investing in any digital asset.